Next up, we make the trip across town to Brentford for one of the rare 3 p.m. Saturday kickoffs. Engineering works all over the place, and there may also be the result of the recent biblical weather to contend with, so check before you leave and stay safe out there. So, Brentford then. Well, it's been a bit of a bitty start to the season for them, and they'd probably be your first choice if you were sticking numbers down on the treble chance. Ask your granddad about that one. They drew 4 of their first 8, winning just the one, 3-0 at Fulham, in the process. Since then, they've won 2 on the spin, albeit those wins coming against Burnley and Chelsea. Chelsea, the comedy team that keeps on giving. All of this has left them on 13 points from the 10 played so far, a point and a place behind us. They do have a sense of humour in West London. They have, of course, been playing without their talismanic striker, Ivan Toney, who's currently serving a lengthy ban for a breach of FA Rule E8, or more accurately, over 200 breaches of said rule. It is said that some clubs are interested in signing Toney in the January window. Brentford, for their part, want to hang on to him, at least until the end of the season, so they've slapped a price tag on the player of £100 million, or, if you like, 95% of a Declan Rice. Oh, those wags. Daisy tells me that, although on the face of it they signed a shed load of players, most of these went towards their B squad. When the dust settled on those, the new arrivals numbered but 3. Dutch keeper Mark Flecken arrived from Freiburg for £11 million. He's been the first choice between the sticks this season and was in the Netherlands squad for the last World Cup, having gained 8 Dutch caps to date. The next arrival was striker Kevin Schade, who actually was there already, having come in from loan from Freiburg back in January. His fee was £22 million, but since he's injured, we won't dwell on him. They gave Freiburg a bit of a break for their third transfer, bringing in Irishman Nathan Collins from Wolves for what is a club record £23 million. Collins' career has included spells at Stoke and Burnley, as well as Wolves, but his youth career started with the delightfully named Cherry Orchard FC, which operates out of Dublin in the Leinster Senior League. He operates primarily as a defensive midfielder and has been capped 17 times by Ireland. They brought in one further player in the shape of Neil Maupay, who came in on loan from Everton. He's yet to score since arriving, his career seemingly having stalled since leaving Brighton. In addition to Schade and Toney, they'll also be missing Rico Henry, knee, De Silva, thigh, and Damsgaard, also knee, whilst Lewis Potter and Baptiste are also major doubts. Let's move on to the wild and wacky world of association football then. And to absolutely nobody's surprise, Saudi Arabia will host the 2034 World Cup. The only other serious bidders would have been the Aussies, who, sensing that the Saudis would simply chuck more money in the direction of the decision makers if they hung around, probably wisely elected not to waste money in the face of a decision that, to all intents and purposes, had already been taken a long while ago. I'm sure Henderson and Gerrard will be over the moon at their part in bringing the tournament back to the Middle East, and it'll be a major comfort to them as they play yet another match in front of 600 spectators. Let's move on to us. Well, I've got a couple to deal with, having been away during the week. Sunday then. That was one of the worst games of football it's been my misfortune to witness. We didn't play football, Everton didn't know how to play football, and Atwell didn't know how to referee a game of football. Perfect combination. It was another game where we simply weren't good enough in any department. It was a terrible match, not helped by the fact that the match was handled by a referee who's consistently turned in unacceptable performances at every single level at which he's taken charge of a game. It was as if somebody had given him a 50-50 chance with every decision and he still got it wrong. Back in my playing days, occasionally a referee wouldn't turn up and we'd enlist the services of a bloke walking his dog in return for a few pints so that we could get a game in. Frankly, we'd have been better off with a man with a dog on Wanstead Flats on Sunday. Actually, scrub that, we'd have been better off with a dog on his own. The problem is that everyone knows how poor Atwell is, and teams play him. Everton certainly did. The game's in a pretty poor state with diving, feigning injury, all sorts. It's unacceptable, simple as that. It's a poor state when players can feign injury and fall on the floor. Players going down then getting up and sprinting. That cannot be acceptable. I would just ban them and it would be out of football within a month. Now, before you say, oh, here we go again, another Percy rant, consider this. That whole last paragraph was taken from an interview with none other than Sean Dyche. I'm sorry I couldn't do the sore throat bit. Now, either a lot of Everton players are going to be hit in the pocket with hefty fines, or Dyche's so-called principle will go out the window every time they're given a gullible referee in a match from which they need points. My money's on the latter. Moving on to Wednesday, and well, what a difference. I guess that's typical West Ham, isn't it? Lousy against Everton, superb against Arsenal. Go figure. Yeah, we had a bit of luck with the first one. It would have been disallowed with VAR, but it wasn't. And the second half, we were by far and away the better team, I'm afraid, Arsenal. I'm sure if we'd looked hard enough, we could have found a corresponding foul on a hammer in the box as that corner was taken anyway. Kudus was magnificent throughout, and the goal was a peach. Bowen's wasn't bad either, and the deflection it took had the added benefit of making Ramsdale look very silly indeed. It was a fine second-half performance which had you scratching your head when thinking about Sunday. We will need some changes this weekend. Paquetá and Alvarez will both miss out, having picked up 5 yellows before Yuletide, or whatever the rule is. However, at time writing, there are no further injury concerns. I'm going to go for a win for our prediction. Let's call it 2-1 to us. That £2.50 I would have been chipping in towards those poor Everton players' fines will instead be sent off to Mr. Winstone for a wager in that score. Enjoy the game.